Hello, everybody. It is a pleasure for us to be here with you, and today we are going to talk about the history of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, analyzing the most important aspect and their impact on society.
Hi guys, nice to see you. My name is Andrea Avila and I'm chair of the Culture, Geography and Events leading to Hiroshima and Nagasaki attack. In this video, I'm going to talk about the story of the atomic bombs of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Next. Hiroshima was recognized for its flora and fishery, located in the western Japan with an area of 700,000 square kilometers. On August 6, 1945, Hiroshima was attacked by an atomic bomb ordered by President of the United States during the Second World War. Then, 3 days later, on August 9, 1945, the city of Nagasaki, located, located in south of Empire of Japan with an area of 400,000 square kilometers, was also attacked by the United States, destroying the entire surrounding territory with serious results for the people and the environment. In the Second World War, several world powers participated in the armed conflict, divided into two alliances. The Axis were Germany, Japan, and Italy. The alliance were Great Britain, the Soviet Union, and the United States. At the end of the war, Japan, a few months ago, was looking for a way to surrender and withdraw from the war, seeking help from the Soviet Union because the Japanese Empire and the military were weak. But the United States wanted them to surrender of the causing fear in all countries, committing a terrible act that marked the history of mankind. Next. Well, Hiroshima, a city with to 400,000 inhabitants at 8:50 a.m. was a place chosen by the United States. Firstly, because it was a city that had never been attacked, and secondly, it was important city in the economic activity of the country, and Japanese military base was also located there. About 5,000 people died in the explosion. In the city of Nagasaki, an agricultural city, on August 9, 1945, at 11 o'clock a.m., 3 days after the attack in Hiroshima, the second atomic bomb was dropped by the United States, affecting 40% of the city and claiming about 300 victims.
Hi, my name is Valentina Vallejo, and I'll be in charge of talking about the social impact, the consequence, and the magnitude of the disaster. Well, as we all know, Hiroshima and Nagasaki were terrible nuclear events during the Second World War, led by U.S. forces, leaving at least 135,000 deaths in their wake. Its magnitude and impact is much more serious than we think. It is considered that the bomb that fell on Nagasaki was more powerful than Hiroshima, called Fat Man, which had a nuclear energy of 20 kilotons of TNT, while Hiroshima, also considered by his codename Little Boy, was built with uranium and had a power of approximately 15 kilotons of TNT. Due to its topographic and geographic location, it is considered that Nagasaki was the least affected and left fewer victims because it was located in the middle of two large valleys. Actually, it wasn't part of the initial objectives. In Hiroshima, it is estimated that between but between 15,000 and 1,000 people died the day of the explosion. The city was devastated over an area of 10 square kilometers. Two-thirds of the city buildings were left in ruins. On the other hand, Nagasaki also suffered a strong consequence. 40% of the city was left in ruins too. It is estimated that between 28,000 and 49,000 people died, and the area of 7.7 square kilometers was destroyed. Thousands of people were seriously injured and affected by radiation. Well, for injuries and sustain that people suffer, it was the first time in history that nuclear bombs were being used in a war conflict. In the middle of the war and military controversy between the United States and Japan, this terrible object was created to put an end to the Japanese empire. In this photo, we could appreciate the President of the United States, Harry Truman, with the President of the National Government of the Republic of China and the Prime Minister of Great Britain. They met in the Potsdam Conference on July 26 in 1945, when they give an ultimatum to Japan. Truman was charged with a committee of advisors to decide whether to drop the nuclear bombs, due to his social and political interests, with the purpose of saving costs and reducing the damage of human lives in combat. We can hardly imagine how was the extremely powerful and destructive bombing impact in that time. We could say that the authorities have no collective interest. They only thought about ending the war no matter what the methods were. Even though, no, the Japanese government had dialogued with the American force to stop the war, but evidently they were ignored and suffered the worst consequence. Finally, after the two nuclear attacks, Japan had no other method of resistance to give up and end the war, to promote the peace for future generations. Well, people were the least benefit from this war. Actually, those who managed to survive have the special Japanese term iwakusha. These survivors suffer burns that tore off their skin and tissues, and exposures to radioactive material cause nausea, vomiting, and hemorrhage. Over the time, some people develop cataracts, malignant tumors, increasing cancers like leukemia, thyroid, breast, and lung cancer. In addition, the mental of the Hibakusha was affected by witnessing such an horrible event, where they lost their loved ones and live with the fear of developing disease to their future generations.
Hello, my name is Andres Olivera, and in this video I will be in charge of the section of the effects and the current situation after the two nuclear bombs attacks. The atomic bomb attack, even after 70 years, left many side effects. Science believed that radiation would disappear completely over the next 20 years, but today pathologies related to the atomic bomb continue to appear. Thus, 44.4 seconds it took for the bomb to explode, and the 3 minutes that the reactive cloud was beginning dissipate and are still present today in the thousands of survivors who were astonished each year by the bomb damage used the United States against Japan. In Hiroshima, with the Fat Boy bomb killed at least 80,000, and Nagasaki the fallen ones reached the 40,000, and who were the ones who died from the direct impact of the bomb. Days later, more were reported. In total were Total, there were about 214,000 people who died and clearly people and did not expect that the damage would follow them for decades. In the words of University of Manchester Professor Richard Wakeford, the truth is that studies with atomic bomb survival have made it much better to know the effect radiation exposure. Only 3 years after the bomb, the number of cases of leukemia among the Hiroshima was already higher than that of UNICEF population. The children in 1945 had the highest leukemia rate of all survivors for different types of solid cancer, sarcomas, and lymphomas, for example. The increased incidence was detected at age 10. In memories of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan commemorates these events with the mission that these events do not happen again in the world. Last year, the Prime Minister was present at an act of peace and said that the devastation inflicted. The suffering is caused to the Japanese is general cannot happen again. Nowadays, there are many events that could have fewer casualties today, although very little can be done against weapon and deadly as an atomic bomb. There is a list of what to do to survive radiation exposure only if they are outside the areas of immediate damage from the explosion. Seek shelter, entering the nearest building to avoid radiation. Brick or the concrete buildings are the best. Remove contaminated clothing and clean or wash. Unprotected skin is the worst outside after the fall of radiation rain. Next. The opinions?
Next.
Next.
Okay, in my opinion, the Hiroshima-Nagasaki disaster is a lesson that violence is not correct way and affects the environment.
In my opinion, this horrible disaster has no justification or validity. It is simply one of the worst massacres seen during the First and the Second World, where millions of innocent lives were taken in exchange for political ideologies and nationalism without any reason. It is very sad to see how the human race uses every new discovery, that in these cases the chemical element uranium, as a weapon in a destructive way, when it was supposed to improve the life of humanity. Instead of that, people use in such a horrible and atrocious way, without even measuring the impact that it will cause in people's life. It is really sad.
In my opinion, to conclude with this issue, it remains to be said that we should have to the movements against should attacks will serve to stop these attacks from happening. This attack will be made in human history, showing the capacity for destruction that not only has a bomb but also of the human. Thanks.
Okay, and thank you for watching this video. See you soon. Bye.
Bye. Don't forget to take care. Goodbye.